Hello, welcome back. I'm RaviePops and I'm on week 17 of the STEPS programme, and this is just my take home. Now, before I get started, I will say this week is a hard week. There is trigger warnings, it's a tough week, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to tackle it myself because it was a difficult week. It's the title of this week is abuse avoidance. So I'll take you through the first couple of things and then I'll discuss where I am, but obviously if the video is going to be too triggering for you, completely understand. Go watch something else a bit more happier. But here we are, this is what I'm doing, so this is what we're doing. So one of the things it says in week 17 is you are using the skills of abuse avoidance when you want to overcome harmful behaviours that you have become habit. You are making healthy choices. You are acting, not reacting. You are adopting helpful coping skills rather than using unhelpful behaviours. You are in control of your impulses and realise you have far more strength and resources than your habits do. You are becoming less compulsive and impulsive in your behaviours and decision making. You are learning that slips and relapses are signs that something else is really going on, and you can forgive yourself for them whilst looking for the cause. A relapse is just a reminder of how far you've come and how much you want to keep heading in that direction of healthy and happiness. You can be in pain and still deal with situations in a healthy way. It's okay to acknowledge pain. Okay, so that's kind of the take home of the thing. It was a hard lesson. I ended up crying. It's difficult to and go through all your problems and list them out and figure out why you have the problems that you have and how how you're going to manage and go forward and not take those problems going forward. The one thing I will say, I try to be positive. I try to always be looking for a silver lining. I know that I do have like a dark sense of humour, and I do have the espresso depresso, moments where I'm not the greatest, but normally 9 times out of 10 if anyone meets me, they'll normally say that I am quite a welcoming and nice person. And I try to do that because I don't want to tar people with the same brush. So even if someone says to me, this person's a horrible person, I like to take my time and figure it out on my own, which usually, granted, takes me a couple of years because I'm not the brightest tool in the box, right? So I let a lot of things slip, and that's one of my unhelpful behaviours, is that I can justify almost anything happening to me because I can be like, well, I understand where they're coming from. They didn't have a great life themselves, or they had this problem, or they were doing that, and that's where that comes from. So I try to be understanding, which means that I don't really see the red flags in people, because I don't like to judge them and be like, well, that's just, I understand where that's coming from, and I don't want to, be like, well, they're a bad person because of that one action, because I know that I've had bad days where I've been, not the nicest, and I would hope that people will give me a second chance. But again, that comes with its detriment. I'm an all or nothing, so with that, that's an all thing. So like, I will let everyone away with a lot more than they should get away with, which again is one of the harmful behaviours. It might not be, hurting yourself, it might not be drinking, it might not be substance abuse, but I do have my own little things that I need to work on, and that being one of them is putting boundaries in and setting like a line and being like, this is okay to be upset with this, and this is okay to have that boundary, which is a new thing for me because I'm not great at that. But again, it's a learning curve, and I think that's why this week was harder, because you are focusing on the more negative things. I don't like to focus on the negative things. I like to pretend everything's nice and sunshiny and being like, well, if I sit there and I think about all the things what's it going to achieve? Me sitting here and being, being like, woe is me, I'm so badly done to, that's not going to achieve anything. That's not going to push me forward. And that's my view on it. So that's where I stand, and that's what I do. I just be like, right, cool, crappy things happen, move on. When's the next, shitty situation going to come across for me? And I know that's like a manifesting a bad attitude, but I'm always prepared for it, which means I never get upset, and I don't see it as a problem. Swings and roundabouts, if you're always living in that bubble of, well, it's not really a problem because it could be worse, you're going to get yourself into situations that are not great. And if I judge everyone and be like, I'm never leaving the house because every time I do, a situation occurs and I end up, in a bad place or, whatever, then that's not good either. So you need to I think that's the biggest take home. I know I've been rambling for like 6 minutes now, but I think that's the biggest take home from steps, is that as someone with BPD, we live on a scale of extremes, but we're trying to figure out how to sort of get that tipping, get that seesaw to stay in the middle and not be like, that constantly. We're trying to just kind of keep it teetering in the middle, because we're never going to be just a solid unit. Like, that's hopeful thinking, but I'm never going to be a solid one piece of brick with a solid board across it. That's not going to be me. Like, I am a pointy triangle with a very precarious plank of wood that's teetering like every day, and that's okay. And I'm trying to find the balance so I don't overshoot, and that's the way I'm taking this week's. I'm not going to go any further into details with it because it is a hard hitting week. It's just to have a think about your vices, sit down, really think about what is this, why do you keep getting into situations, why does that keep happening, and figure it out and take it back to the roots, which is a difficult process. And that's about as much as I want to talk about it, to be fair. I did this on Friday and I am done. Again, I'm just trying to be humorous to make it a bit more easier and palatable for my brain to go through and my brain to process it, and that's just the way I do it. But I found this week really hard. It was hard talking about, it was hard writing it down. One of the things that you had to do is you write down a simple statement of like how, where is it? Here we go. Avoiding abusive behaviours worksheet. So it'll ask you things like which skills do you need to avoid behaviours and how will you use them. So it asks things like what distraction techniques you would use during that, the situation you've written down, the abusive vice that you have. You write that down and then you break it down. So like, what distraction techniques would you use to get yourself out of that? What mantras would you use? Like, you're a good person, you're a worthy person, you're worth more than you're giving yourself credit for, you're a strong person. All those sort of behaviours that we've sort of fermented through the last 17 weeks, it tells you to go back down and write them out one by one, and obviously break it down and explain what your behaviour is. Like, describe your abusive behaviour patterns, describe when your abusive behaviour is more likely to happen. Describe how your behaviours, like how you manage your behaviour, you know what I mean? What are you usually doing before the behaviour? What is a typical feeling before? What is a typical thoughts before the behaviour? And you break it down, so it's basically all about dissecting each thing and being like, well, why do I feel like this? Why is this happening? Where's this coming from? Is it because I stubbed my toe and I'm having a complete meltdown and want to destroy my entire flat? Probably not. That's probably not why I'm a level 10 right now and about to explode into a rage fit. Probably not. It's the root cause of that is probably not the toe stomping. I mean, it didn't help, but it probably, is not the root cause. So then it's all about getting back to the root cause, so then you can preempt these situations, so you don't overreact to them, because you can be like, well, I've stubbed my toe, I know where these are coming from. It's coming from, you know, Aunt Lucy MacGyver's, you know, Christmas party in the 60s that I went to, and, you know, she had nails everywhere and it was very traumatic. I don't know, but you get the drift. The drift. You get the gist. My brain is like goop today, so I'm gonna leave it there. I think that's enough on this topic. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to. So that's where we're at. But no, on a more serious note, it's all about dissecting it, figuring it out where it came from, and then you can work around it and get your little bomb shelter and your little cabin ready for that tornado coming towards you. And be prepared for it rather than run away from it or hide from it or try to fight it, because we all know they don't work. Those mechanisms do not work for those situations and those emotional tornadoes that come at you. Fighting it and challenging it and you know, try to go against it in those, you just need it to wash over you. You need to be prepared. You need to be like, right, this is happening. I'm cool. I'm grounded. The emotion will pass, and when it does, then I will make my rational decisions and my rational thinking at that point. But anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.